Hey y'all, Coach Haysham here, and for the sake of this video, this is what you need to know. First of all, let me get it out of the way that this is not really me. I'm actually using an AI-generated voiceover. But what you need to know is that I used to write articles for sport and fitness magazines. Long story short, I wrote an article about the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight coming up on November 15th, and turned my article into a podcast using Google's Notebook LM. Let me tell you, my mind was blown. I mean, it felt like the podcast expressed exactly what's in my head in a way that I couldn't. So here's the podcast. Enjoy.
All right, so you know those fights that kind of make you stop and think, hold on, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Well, this deep dive, this is all about one of those Mike Tyson, the legend, versus Jake Paul.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who made a name for himself on YouTube.
And that right there, that's what makes this so interesting.
Yeah.
It's not just a fight.
No.
It's like a collision of worlds, a clash of eras.
Right.
We're diving into an analysis by Coach Haysham.
Okay.
And he's clearly like a massive Tyson fan.
Yeah.
And he breaks down why this matchup is way more complex than it appears on the surface.
Okay, so let's establish the baseline here.
Yeah.
We all know Mike Tyson,
right.
Iron Mike, the baddest man on the planet, youngest heavyweight champ ever. The guy's a walking highlight reel of knockout power.
Yeah, and that legacy, that aura of invincibility.
Right.
That's a huge part of what makes this fight so interesting, so intriguing.
Yeah.
It's almost like stepping into the ring with a myth, a legend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Tyson himself seems to respect Jake Paul's skills. In that MVP face-to-face video, he actually says, it's not just some 27-year-old, it's Jake Paul. It's almost like he's acknowledging that Paul has earned his way into this fight.
Yeah, that's huge.
Right.
You don't see Mike Tyson handing out compliments for no reason.
No.
And that right there, that's a clue.
Yeah.
That this might not be the one-sided beatdown everyone's expecting.
Right.
Tyson sees something in Paul.
Yeah.
Something that makes him a legitimate threat.
Okay, so let's talk about Jake Paul.
Okay.
I'll admit, when he first started boxing, I thought it was a gimmick.
Right.
But he's fought some decent opponents.
He has.
And he hasn't just been winning, he's been knocking people out.
And it's not just the wins.
Yeah.
It's how he's winning.
Right.
He's shown real boxing IQ.
Yeah.
An ability to learn and adapt. He's clearly putting in the work.
Yeah.
And it's showing in the ring.
All right, so the obvious question is, can Jake Paul actually beat Mike Tyson?
Right.
I mean, come on, it's Mike Tyson.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
The odds are definitely stacked against Paul.
Yeah.
But Coach Haysham makes a really interesting point about Paul's fight against Tommy Fury.
Oh, okay.
It was a loss.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
But it actually boosted Paul's credibility. In a way that a win might not have.
Wait. A loss making him more credible?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Think about who Tommy Fury is.
Okay.
He's from a boxing dynasty.
Right.
His brother is Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champ.
Yes.
Boxing is in his blood.
Okay.
And Paul went the distance with him.
Wow.
Even scored a knockdown.
Yeah.
To take that kind of punishment from a Fury
right.
and stay on your feet,
yeah,
that shows serious toughness.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
Right.
It's like surviving a war even if you don't win every battle.
Exactly.
It proves you can handle yourself under fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something Tyson can't ignore.
Right.
Paul's no longer just a YouTuber messing around.
Yeah.
He's a fighter who can take a punch and dish one out.
So we've got a legend.
Yeah.
Who's clearly past his prime.
Right.
Going up against a younger, hungry fighter who's proven he can handle himself in the ring.
Yeah.
Are we really saying this is more than just a publicity stunt?
Look, nobody's saying Paul is the favorite here.
Okay.
But there are factors at play that make this far more interesting than people initially thought.
Okay. I'm hooked. What are those factors? What should we be looking at here?
Well, for starters, let's talk about styles.
Okay.
Tyson, in his prime, was all about aggression.
Right.
Overwhelming power. That peekaboo style that made him so unpredictable.
Right, like a human wrecking ball.
Yeah.
But can he still move like that at 57?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
And that's where Paul's style comes into play.
Okay.
He's not a classic boxer.
Right.
He's more of a...
Hold on, we're going to have to unpack that in our next segment.
Oh,
You've got me on the edge of my seat here.
Okay. More of a hybrid boxer.
Okay.
You know, blending elements of different styles.
Right.
He uses his reach, his height to his advantage.
Yeah.
Fighting from the outside, picking your shots. It's a style that's given some more traditional boxers trouble in the past.
So are you saying Paul might be able to, like, outbox Tyson?
Yeah.
Keep him at a distance?
Yeah.
Avoid those power shots?
It's a possibility.
Really?
We've seen Tyson struggle against taller, rangier fighters in the past.
Yeah.
Guys like Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, who used their jab and footwork to control the distance and frustrate Tyson. Paul's got the size and reach to potentially employ a similar strategy.
That's fascinating. It's almost like a David and Goliath scenario.
Right.
With Paul trying to outsmart the giant.
Exactly. But remember, David had that slingshot. For Paul, his slingshot would be his youth, his stamina, and maybe even that element of surprise. Remember, Tyson hasn't faced anyone like Jake Paul before.
This is where it gets really exciting because we're not just talking about physical attributes. We're talking about mindset.
Yeah.
You can't underestimate the hunger of a young fighter looking to make history.
And you can't underestimate the experience of a legend like Tyson.
Yeah.
He's been in the ring with the best.
Right.
He's felt the pressure of the world on his shoulders. That kind of experience is invaluable.
It's almost like a battle of wills as much as a battle of skills.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a second and talk about the bigger picture.
Right.
Coach Hesham makes this point about how this fight could actually change the landscape of boxing.
Yeah, it's a clash between old school boxing
and
the new wave of fighters coming into the sport from non-traditional backgrounds. Paul's success, or even just his ability to compete at this level, has the potential to shake things up in a major way.
It's like we're witnessing the evolution of the sport in real time.
Yeah.
You've got Tyson, who came up through the ranks, the gyms, the amateur circuit, the classic boxing pedigree. And then you've got Paul, who's using social media to build his brand, attract an audience, and ultimately earn his place in the ring.
And that's what makes this fight so thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It challenges our assumptions about what it means to be a real boxer. Is it about where you come from, how you trained, who your promoters are? Or is it simply about the ability to step into that ring and fight?
It's a question that a lot of people are grappling with right now.
Yeah.
And the answer might not be clear-cut.
And that's the beauty of it. It sparks debate. It forces us to rethink our preconceived notions.
Okay, let's get back to the matchup itself. We've got this contrast in styles, the age difference, the whole legacy versus newcomer narrative. Tactically speaking, what are we looking at here? What could a fight between these two actually look like?
If we analyze their strengths and weaknesses, we can start to see potential strategies emerge. Tyson, with his experience, might focus on closing the distance quickly, working the body, trying to end the fight early.
Classic Tyson.
Yeah.
Get in there, unleash that power, and boom, good night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Paul, being the taller, rangier fighter, might try to keep Tyson at bay. Utilizing his jab and footwork to avoid those power shots. We know he can take a punch. So the key for him would be to avoid those big bombs and wear Tyson down.
It's a classic boxer versus slugger matchup.
Yeah.
And as we've seen throughout boxing history, those fights can be incredibly unpredictable.
Absolutely. And there's another factor we haven't touched on yet. Which is the mental game.
Ooh, now we're getting into the psychology of it all.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Tyson has a reputation for being intimidating. Almost menacing in the ring. But Paul has shown a remarkable ability to stay calm under pressure. He doesn't seem fazed by the hype, the trash talk, the big stage.
That's a really interesting point. It's like he's playing a different game altogether. He's using the hype to his advantage, building his brand, but not letting it get to him mentally.
Exactly. And that could be a key factor in this fight. If Paul can weather the early storm, avoid those initial Tyson blitzes, he might be able to frustrate Tyson. Get him out of his rhythm.
And then who knows what could happen in the later rounds. A tired Tyson is a much more vulnerable Tyson.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But on the flip side,
yeah,
we've seen Tyson rally in the past. He's a fighter who can dig deep, find that extra gear when he needs it.
Man, this is getting good.
Yeah.
It's like a chess match, but with punches.
Right.
And you know what else Coach Hesham pointed out?
What's that?
This fight could actually change boxing in a more profound way than we initially thought.
Yeah, he argues that this fight could be a tipping point for the sport.
Okay.
Paul's involvement has already brought in a new audience.
Right.
Younger fans.
Yeah.
who are more connected to social media than traditional boxing.
I've seen it myself.
Yeah.
People who never talked about boxing before are suddenly glued to their phones.
Yeah.
Watching Paul's training videos, following his every move.
And that's the power of this crossover appeal.
Right.
It exposes boxing to a whole new generation of fans.
So in a way, Paul's win or lose outcome isn't even the biggest story here.
Right.
It's about the impact he's having on the sport itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's challenging the status quo, forcing the boxing world to adapt and evolve.
Okay, but let's not forget, this is still a fight. Two guys stepping into the ring with the intention of knocking each other out.
And that's what ultimately makes this so compelling.
Yeah.
It's a clash of styles, a clash of personalities, a clash of eras.
And the outcome. Well, that's anyone's guess.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure. We're going to be talking about this fight for a long time to come.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
This is a fight that transcends the sport itself.
Right.
It's a cultural event, a moment in time that captures the shifting landscape of sports and entertainment.
This is blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, back to the matchup itself.
Okay.
We've got this contrast in styles, the age difference, the whole legacy versus newcomer thing.
Right.
But what does a Jake Paul victory actually mean?
Right.
Like, for real?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What happens if the impossible becomes possible?
Because if a YouTuber can beat Mike Tyson,
it forces us to reevaluate everything we thought we knew about boxing.
Does it diminish Tyson's legacy? Or does it signal a changing of the guard, a new era where anything is possible?
That's what we're going to explore in our final segment.
Okay.
The potential implications of a Paul victory.
Okay.
And what it means for the future of the sport.
Okay. We're back, and I'm still processing everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
This whole Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight, it was like a rabbit hole of intrigue.
It really is.
And that brings us to the question that's been, kind of looming over this entire discussion.
Right.
What if Jake Paul actually wins?
Yeah.
Right.
What happens then?
It's almost unthinkable.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson knocked out by a YouTuber.
It seems impossible.
It seems impossible.
But what if it happens?
Yeah,
Coach Hesham, he argues that it could go one of two ways.
Okay, lay it on me.
Okay.
What are the two scenarios here?
All right. So the first scenario is that a Paul victory diminishes Tyson's legacy.
Okay.
It becomes the ultimate asterisk. The moment that tarnishes the legend of Iron Mike.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
It would be hard to look at Tyson's career the same way if he loses to, someone who, let's be honest, wasn't even a serious boxer a few years ago.
Exactly.
Right.
But the second scenario, this is even more intriguing.
Okay.
What if a Paul victory doesn't diminish Tyson's legacy, but instead signifies a changing of the guard?
Whoa. Okay, explain that one.
All right, so think about it.
Okay.
What if this isn't about Tyson losing, but about Paul winning?
Okay.
What if it's a testament to Paul's skill, his dedication, his evolution as a boxer?
So instead of tarnishing Tyson's legacy, it elevates Paul's.
Precisely.
Okay.
It becomes a symbolic passing of the torch.
Right.
A moment that signifies a new era in boxing.
That's a really interesting perspective.
Yeah.
And it kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier.
Right.
About Paul representing this new wave of fighters coming into the sport from non-traditional backgrounds.
Exactly. A Paul victory could open the floodgates.
Right.
Inspiring a whole new generation of athletes.
Yeah.
To pursue boxing.
And not just athletes.
Right.
But entertainers, influencers.
Yeah.
People who might never have considered boxing before.
Yeah, it could fundamentally change the sport.
Wow.
Making it more inclusive, more diverse.
Right.
And potentially even more popular.
But there's also the risk, right?
Well, yeah, there is.
The risk that it cheapens the sport, turns it into more of a spectacle than a legitimate athletic competition.
That's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
There's a fine line between evolution and exploitation.
Right.
And it's up to the boxing community as a whole to decide where they want the sport to go.
So this fight, it's not just about two guys in the ring.
No.
It's about the future of boxing itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a referendum on what boxing is and what it could become.
Man, that's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I need a minute to process all this.
Take your time.
But I think the key takeaway here is that no matter who wins, this fight is going to have ripple effects throughout the sport.
Absolutely.
It's a conversation starter.
It is.
A catalyst for change.
Yeah.
So for you listening, here's something to ponder.
Okay.
Think about the long-term implications of a Paul victory. What does it mean for the sport?
Yeah.
For the athletes, for the fans?
It's a question with no easy answers.
Right.
But it's a question worth asking.
And that's what we're all about here on The Deep Dive.
That's right.
Pushing the boundaries, challenging assumptions, and diving deep into the most fascinating topics of our time.
We hope this deep dive has given you a new perspective on the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight.
And that it's sparked some thought-provoking conversations of your own.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.